Hello everyone, I'm Casper Kuma and welcome to Intensive Scare Unit. Now this game kind of like reminded me of Paranormal Sight, just from the art style. I don't know, kind of neat. It's my first night shift during residency today. Mom and Dad had always wanted me to follow in their footsteps to become a specialist. Mom was a pediatrician and Dad was a neurosurgeon. I followed their wishes and got accepted to residency, but all I wanted is to get a good night's shift. I can't say I had high expectations for my first night shift in the ICU, but if I had known it would have been this gloomy, I might have tried to get more than 3 hours of sleep. From the moment I walked through the doors, it felt like I'd stepped into a different world. The lights are dim, the beeping is constant, and the whole atmosphere feels like it's one bad day away from a horror movie. Yeah, I don't know if I could pull off doing the night shift in the hospital. That sounds awful. I found Satria, I don't know, who's supposed to be 1 year my senior in the staff room, looking like he just crawled out of a zombie movie. He was practically a zombie, with dark circles so deep that they could double as eye sockets. His scrubs were a mess, and he had this dazed, hollow look on his face. Good evening, senior. My name is Leah. I know, drop it. Just be casual with me. Oh. You're the first year resident, right? Ate your dinner already? Yes. Good. You'll need all the extra calories. Anyway, welcome. Satria doesn't give up the seniority vibe in the residency unlike some of my peers. Oh my god. I'd been told that residency— okay. Sorry, cat in the way. Move! Move! Okay. I'd been told that residency is like being part of some medieval hierarchy where you're the lowly maid and everyone else is a noble with the stick up there. Well, you get the idea. But then there's Satria. Sorry. Let me see it. Let me look it up. Okay, I think it's Satria or something. But then there's Satria. I mean, the guy actually seemed nice. Yeah, I know it's almost hard to believe. I'm supposed to do a night round with the junior shift before me. Do you know where they are? Satria blinked at me like I just interrupted a really intense daydream. They went home. He sounded like he'd been gargling gravel. I wonder if I'd be like that after a year of residency. Oh, is everything okay? Anything I can get you? He managed a half-hearted grin that did nothing to reassure me. Nah, just one of those nights. Anyway, this means you'll be doing the night's rounds with me. Let me explain everything, kid. Listen well, because I'm not repeating anything for you. Alright. Here's the deal with the night shifts. It's a whole different beast. We're understaffed, so it's basically just you, me, and, well, one nurse tonight. Wait, one nurse? For the entire ICU? He waved his hand as if it was nothing. Who needs nurses when there are residents, am I right? We're stretched thin, and it's a bit of a juggling act. The ICU's usually got more hands on deck, but tonight it's a skeleton crew. So expect things to get a little interesting. I glanced around the ICU, trying to picture the lone nurse trying to handle everything. What's the difference between a residency person and a nurse? I figured she'd have some sort of nursing skills. I don't know what the difference is. I'll do my best. Good. If you're lucky, she'll be able to cover all the bases, but don't count on it. We'll need to pitch in wherever we can. So I'd like you to take charge of the patient bells. Patient bell duty? What does that involve? It's exactly what it sounds like. You'll be the one answering the patient's call bells. Every time a patient hits their call button, it's your job to respond. If it's one of those tasks that gets handed off to the newbies because it's hella boring, but crucial. Amazing. I've already been dreading the prospect of juggling everything else, and now I have to deal with constant interruptions from call bells, too. Here's how it works. Each patient has a call button next to the bed. When they press it, an alarm goes off at the nurse's station. Well, it would if we had more than one nurse on tonight. So you'll need to be the one who gets up and checks on them. Understood. Alright, Leah, let's do a quick round so you'll know what you're dealing with tonight. Is it gonna be like Five Nights at Freddy's? Or are we gonna have to, like, check the cameras? Satria led me through the dimly lit corridors of the ICU. He stopped in front of the main nurse's station and gestured for me to follow as he began his impromptu tour. We start in room 101. This is Angela Liam. She's 7 years old, recovering from post-denue shock syndrome. She's stable, but still needs monitoring. Sweet kid, but she's been through a lot. As for pediatric patients, you deal with the parents mostly. I peered through the glass window of the room, seeing a tiny figure nestled in the bed, her mom sitting anxiously beside her. Her mom looks kind of familiar. Satria led me to room 104 next. Why does she look familiar? Here we have Mrs. Selvina, 47 years old. She's on a ventilator because her liver cancer has metastasized everywhere. Her condition is critical, so keep an eye on her. I feel like you should have more than one nurse if you have a critical person. I don't know. We can't get a hold of her family yet, so no DNR. I glanced at the room where the ventilator hissed rhythmically, and Mrs. Selvina lay still. Next we moved to room 108. Wait, if she's a Mrs., then shouldn't there be a Mr.? You tell me that he's not here to... Whoa, what was that? As we walked past room 108, a loud crash jolted me, followed by the sound of someone or something thrashing around like a wild animal. What was that? This is Mr. X. We basically found him on the streets. Isn't that like the Resident Evil guy? The big guy? No. He's in delirium, in pain, and we found some injectable drugs in his belongings. Probably OD'd on something. Think something's crawling inside of him. A pain in the ass, really. Just try to handle him with patience. I really think we should have more than one nurse. Morphine every other hour or so. He'll let us know. So, we're just gonna let him fight his imaginary demons in there? Until he starts tearing the place apart, and then we sedate him. Anyway, you definitely need to keep this one in check. Okay. Finally, we arrived at room 110. Mr. Joko Muliono, 75 years old. He's had diabetic gangrene that caused a septic shock and just had a leg amputation. He's a rough spot and can be a bit grumpy, but he's generally manageable. Satria glanced at his watch and sighed. Shift starts at 9 p.m. and runs until 7 a.m. You've got a mix of serious cases and one that's going to test your patience. Try to keep track of their needs and be ready for anything. Oh god. What if we mess up? This game has multiple endings. Oh dear. Got it. Any tips on how to deal with the patients while I'm at it? Satria gave me a weary look. The usual. Be polite, be efficient, and try not to let them see how frazzled you are. The call bell might seem like a nuisance, but it's there for a reason. Keep an eye out on the frequency of the calls. It might give you clues if something's wrong. He paused as if considering whether to add more. Like, would there be more calls if they're fine? Or, like, more calls if they're, like, probably up to something? Like, I mean, like, less calls if they're up to something, you know? Like, maybe he's so delirious he's destroying everything, but he's not hitting the call button? Like, because he's not in the state of mind? I don't know. He pauses as if considering whether to add more. Also, be prepared for the occasional strange request. It's the ICU, after all. People and things here are usually not in the right states and minds. What do you mean? You'll see. Satria looked like he was about to collapse on the spot. I really think we should have more than one person. Just do your best, kid. We're all running on fumes, but we'll get through it. And if you need anything, well, try not to hesitate. Almost forgot. Since we're working in the ICU, try to answer the patient bells as fast as you can, yeah? Oh boy. Any call might be someone's life and death. I mean, you can't just undo your mistakes in real life, right? Wait, does that mean we can undo our mistakes in fake life here? As Satria shuffled off to the doctor's call room, he moved so listlessly it was like he was gliding through the shadows. Seriously, the guy looked like he was part of the decor. I bet that's gonna be me after a year. Okay. I made my way to the nurse's station towards the patient bell call. Oh, she looks like a joy to be around. The nurse on duty, who had been introduced to me as part of the skeleton crew for the night, was standing at the desk. She looked up as I approached, and my first impression was that her face was so pale, she almost blended into the background. Hello? I'm Leah, the new resident, just checking in. Oh, what was that? You good? The nurse didn't respond. Instead, she just stared at me with vacant eyes and nodded. I mean, I'm pretty sure she just had a seizure right there. What was that? It was as if she was too tired or overwhelmed to offer any kind of greeting. Alrighty then, I'll be around if you need anything or if there's any news. Oh, are you okay? Do you need something? You're a little jittery, lady. But nope, no reply, just silent nodding. It was like talking to a very pale, very silent mannequin. The chill in the room seemed to grow thicker with every second, and the silence was starting to feel like it was pressing in on me. I turned and headed back towards the patient rooms, trying not to let the oppressive atmosphere get to me. Alrighty, oh my god. Did the lights just flicker? It's probably my imagination. The ICU was dark, eerie, and every sound seemed to amplify the sense of unease. It's like Satria and the nurse were just the icing on the cake of this unsettling shift. I took a deep breath and braced myself. You know, I think she'd probably feel better if she was wearing Heelys, because I've never seen anything bad happen to someone wearing Heelys, and then she could also just like zoom around the rooms a lot faster. I don't know. I feel like that would be a good move. This is gonna be a long night. Alright. Alright. Should I save? Can I save? I don't think I can save. Okay, cool. I stood at the nurse's station, all eyes on the patient bell monitor. It's one of those moments where you try to pretend you're not staring, but it's impossible to look away. The monitor was supposed to make my job easier, but right now it's feeling like a bad omen. Okay. Out of nowhere, the first bell rang, not just once, but 3 times simultaneously. My heart skipped a beat as I glanced at the monitor. Room 108 and 110 flashing with alarms. Standard fare for an ICU, I suppose. But then... Room 112. The monitor showed its bell ringing too. Room 12 was empty. 108. I pressed the intercom button on room 108. Good evening, sir. It's Dr. Leah. What's going on in there? A long, unsettling silence followed, broken only by the humming of ventilators. I was about to repeat myself when a garbled voice came through the speaker. She's... inside me. His voice cracking with pain and something else. Fear, maybe? Her hands... scratching, trying to get out. I swallowed hard, trying to keep my tone professional. Sir, there's nothing under your skin. You're just experiencing a symptom of your condition. No, no, no. His voice was louder now, frantic. I could hear the sound of him thrashing in his bed, the bed frame creaking under the force. You don't understand. It's her. Her nails. I can feel them. The digging. Sir, just breathe, okay? I'm coming in to check on you, but you have to stay still, alright? No reply, just a wheezing laugh crackled through the intercom, making the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I checked on him first because, that was the one that he said to, like, keep the closest eye on. I mean, the room 112 is concerning, but I don't know. I feel like if I answered it, there'd probably be no one on the receiving end, you know? Like, it'd probably just be a weird, creepy silence, but we also have to check in on that old man, I think. I reached the door to room 108, bringing the sedatives with me. Suddenly, everything was eerily quiet. Groggily, I glanced down the hallway, hoping to ask for assistance from Satria or the nurse, but I was alone. I took a deep breath, steeling myself as I pushed open the door to room 108. Okay, calm down, buddy. I should have let Satria take this one. Mr. X was thrashing violently, face contorted in agony. His hands were clawing at his own skin, scratches covering his arms where he tried to dig out whatever he believed was inside him. I feel like you should keep this guy on sedatives permanently. Help, please. Please get her out. I can't take it anymore. I'm just gonna sedate you, sir. It'll help with the pain, but you have to let go, alright? As I reached for the syringe, he grabbed my wrist with surprising strength. Let go? Let go! She's in me. Her nails, they're cutting through. She's gonna crawl out of me and into you. She'll tear us apart. I wonder if it's the little girl that's doing this. His grip tightened, and for a moment I could almost feel it. A sharp, cold scratch just beneath my own skin, like nails dragging through flesh. My stomach turned, but I forced myself to stay calm. I had to. It was just a delusion. It's just the drugs. It's just paranoia. I injected the sedative into his IV, and Mr. X's breathing slowed, his thrashing subsiding as the sedative took effect. But even his eyes fluttered shut, he kept whispering to his... But even as his eyes fluttered shut, he kept whispering to himself, "She's coming." It's totally that little girl, right? And because her mom was staring at her kind of anxiously, maybe she's afraid of her daughter. Maybe her daughter doesn't really exist. I don't know, maybe it's a ghost. I backed out of the room, trying to calm my trembling hands. But then, as I started down the hallway, something stopped me in my tracks. Oh? It was faint at first, a soft melodic hum that seemed to drift through the stillness. Who the heck is singing at this hour? I paused, my ears straining to catch it. The sound grew clearer, and my blood ran cold. A whaty? A pescendine? A pestinine? A pescindine? A pescindine? I don't know, someone's singing. Her voice was haunting, laced with sorrow that seeped into my bones. And as if it wasn't enough, there was a distant clink of a gamelan orchestra began to play along with her. Oh! What the hell's going on? It was coming from Mr. X's room. It couldn't have been from his phone or TV. The peasant's voice was so close, it was like she was standing right next to me, singing directly into my ear. I half expected to feel her cold breath on my neck. She's coming. Uh-oh. And then, just like that, the music cut off. Everything fell into silence so thick it was suffocating. Maybe I've had too much coffee. That's it. I rushed back into the nurse station, trying to shake off whatever just happened. We still got people to deal with. I stood at the nurse's station again when the rooms... Oh boy. The bells for room 101, 103, and 104 started ringing all at once. Not this again. 103 was empty, completely. And utterly empty, so why the hell was the bell ringing? And 104 had Mrs. Selvina, who was unconscious and paraplegic. She couldn't ring the bell even if she wanted to. I glanced at the nurse who was still standing there, eerily mute, as if the chaos around us didn't even register. What the hell's going on with this night shift? Satria, my ever-reliable senior, just let out a sarcastic laugh. Oh well, it seems like there's a welcome party for you. Huh? Dude, we got things to do. Check on we'll check on 101. I don't know. I pressed the intercom button on room 101, half expecting something out of a horror movie to greet me. Instead, Angela's mother's voice crackled through the speaker. Doctor, Angela's IV drip is running out. Could you come and replace it? I'll be right there. Relieved that was something straightforward, finally, I grabbed a fresh IV bag and made my way to the room. But as soon as I walked in, the atmosphere fell off. Not again. Angela's mother, Mrs. Liam, was standing by the window, her expression a mix of worry and something else I couldn't quite describe. Her daughter seemed to be asleep peacefully in her bed. Excuse me, Mrs. Liam. I'm Dr. Leah. I'll be replacing your daughter's IV drip. Doctor? Wait, I'm sorry to trouble you, but there's been knocking on the window. It's been happening for a while now, but when I look, there's no one there. Oh, probably just the wind, ma'am? She just looked back at me. Or I could check for you. I moved to the... Oh boy, we're getting real close to that window. I moved to the window, opening the curtain and peering out into the darkness. Nothing. Just a faint reflection of the room behind me and the dark sky beyond. I shook the latch just to be sure, and it was securely locked. It's safe, ma'am. Nothing out there. She just gave me an uneasy smile. As I started to replace the IV drip, something about her tugged at the back of my mind. I felt like I'd seen her before. I don't know. I was trying to see if, like, it could be, like, us or something, but we're different. I have a mole and she doesn't, so I don't think that's the answer. And I don't think we're the daughter either, because I don't think she has the mole. Are you on social media or something, Mrs. Liam? Your surname is familiar. Yes. Yes, I'm a tic-tac model, Veronica Liam. I see. TikTok. She didn't respond, just turned back to the window. She was holding her left wrist, and for a moment I thought I saw some bruising marks on them. As I finished up with the IV, the unease in the room seemed to thicken. Seems like I shouldn't have asked. Just press the bell if you need anything else. Angela's mom nodded again, but her gaze remained fixed on the window. It's as if she was waiting for something, or someone, that wasn't there. I quickly left the room, sighing to myself. Feeling thirsty, I wandered into the doctor's lounge. Satria was already there, leaning against the counter while stirring 2 cups of coffee. He handed me one with a half smirk. Thanks. Hang in there, kid. This is just your first shift. Hey, this is what I signed up for. Easy for you to say. You're one of the blue bloods, aren't you? Everyone knows about you. What was it? Mom's a pediatrician, dad's a neurosurgeon. Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's a walk in the park. They're always comparing me to them, telling me how much harder I need to work. I don't even want to be a doctor anyway. Still, it must be nice though, having parents who made things so much easier. Wish I had that kind of leg up. My family puts everything into getting me here. Now it's on me to make sure it's worth it. I looked at him, really looked, and for a second I caught a glimpse of the weight he carried. Well, I guess we're both just trying not to mess it up. Yeah, something like that. I leaned back, taking a longer sip of the coffee, letting the silence sit for a bit. So, why'd you decide to be a doctor? Honestly, for my parents. It's not like I had some big passion for it or anything. They're not well off, and, well, it felt like the only way to give back. Really? Yeah, I mean, they sacrificed so much to get me here. It's on me to make it count. Plus, they're not going to be able to help my sister much longer. I figured I could chip in with her union loans while I'm out of residency, you know? That's heavy. Yeah, well, it's not like I can quit now. But why emergency medicine? Of all the specialties, you chose one where people are literally running in and out nonstop? I didn't exactly choose it, and it was the only one available through the scholarship I got, and had to take what I could get. Oh, so this isn't your first choice. I mean, it's fine, I don't hate it or anything. But if I'm being honest, it was never really about what I wanted. It was just about making sure I could get through med school without bankrupting my parents. Satria stretched for a bit before grabbing his things. Anyway, I better get back. The nurse seems inexperienced. Just before he left, he paused at the doorway and looked back at me. Residency's brutal, kid. There's still some time to leave if you don't want to be here. Hang in there, okay? Before I could respond, he gave me a small smile and disappeared down the hall. Oh, dear God. Ring! The clock struck midnight and the ICU erupted into chaos. Every damned bell on the intercom rang out like crazy. I turned to Satria, his face just as pale as mine. What's happening? I have no freaking idea. It's like the whole damn place is losing it. The ringing bells drowned out our voices, and I was struggling to speak. I felt the urge to run, but from what? And from our helpless patients? Then I noticed the nurse, the only one who hadn't spoken a word since we started. Is this a drill? Oh, you do have emotions. Oh, so she was human after all. Thank God. A drill at this goddamn hour? The nurse took a step back, looking ready to faint. I don't know. I'm a new employee too. Nobody told me about this. Leah, just press the button. Huh? Just answer in the intercom. Maybe it'll stop. Roger that. Oh my God. What do we press? Whoa, God. 110? Oh, fuck. Oh, I was too late. I heard Satria and the nurse rush to the other rooms. Better luck next time. Damn it! I didn't know it was timed. 3 bells rang out at once. 108, 11, and 105. I groaned. 108 was Mr. X, who was convinced someone was crawling under his skin. 101? Angela and her Tic Tac famous mom with the mysterious knocking. 105? Empty. Perfect. We gotta go to 108 or something. I don't see the point of going to an empty room. Press the intercom for 108 and the sound of Mr. X retching immediately filled the speaker. His voice, even more frantic and broken than before, cut through the noise. Ugh, she's out. Pardon? She's out, but I can still hear her. She's here. Help. Sir, I'll be there in a... Ah! Sir? You hear it too, don't you, Doctor? As I listened, something else crept in. Something familiar. The Pessendahen song. Soft at first, like a lullaby from hell, getting louder and closer with each second. The song drowned out Mr. X's screaming. The hairs on my neck stood on end as her voice wound through the static. Okay. It inched closer and closer, until it felt like she was right here in the nurse station instead of Mr. X's room. I can't do this alone. I bolted towards room 108, dragging the new nurse with me despite her protests. The eerie wails from Mr. X still echoed in my ears as we rushed down the dimly lit hallway. Hello? When we burst into the room, the bed was empty, and the song had also stopped. Sir? I looked to the window, but it seemed like it was jammed shut. Over there! The nurse pointed at Mr. X cowering under the bed, his wide eyes glinting with terror. Sir, what are you doing under there? I knelt down, trying to see him better. Ooh! Before I could get an answer, the nurse beside me let out a blood-curdling scream. She stumbled back, clutching her foot, eyes wide with fear. Clutching her foot? The doctor! Something's scratching me! It's under the floor! It's scratching me! A cold chill ran down my spine. The scratching, that horrible feeling from earlier was back, and it wasn't just in my head, and the nurse felt it too. Whatever was down there, it wasn't done with us yet. But helping Mr. X came first. I had to sedate him. Mr. X was trembling under the bed, his eyes darting around like he was seeing something I couldn't. I injected the sedative into his arm, trying to ignore everything else while the nurse cowered behind me. Just breathe. His eyes fluttered closed as the drug took effect. I turned towards the nurse. Hello? Are you okay? My mom said, being a nurse is an honorable profession. I'm just here for the paycheck. It's okay, he's asleep. Let's get out. But as I turned to leave, the silence was shattered by the haunting sound again. The Pessendahen song. I didn't wait to see what would happen next. Let's go already. I don't know. There's blood everywhere and scratches on the door. It's not usually a good sign. The nurse grabbed me by the arm. We bolted out of the room, the song echoing behind us like it was chasing us down the hallway as we fled back to the nurse's station. I didn't even realize the corridor had somehow become even darker than before. We didn't stop until we were back in the dim safety of the station, gasping for air. The song had faded, but whatever was happening in room 108 was far from over. Satria was there. He raised an eyebrow when he saw us running, but didn't ask anything. Satria, do you know anything about Mr. X's background? I mean, besides the obvious nightmare we just dealt with. Satria leaned back, his eyes fixed on the ceiling. There's a rumor he used to be filthy rich. But you know, classic tale, lost everything, bad investments, gambling, drug addictions, who knows. Really? How come? When they found him, he had this ridiculously expensive watch on him, like the kind that could pay off a car. No one's sure if he stole it or if it was his, but that's the only thing he had left. We kept hearing a gamelan song and someone singing. The tree didn't even blink, just shrugged with that exasperating nonchalance. Maybe it's a vengeful lover haunting him, or his ex-wife, who knows. Or maybe the music's just in his head and now it's in yours too. There's no way. Either way, it's absolutely none of our business. Couldn't tell if he was being serious or just messing with us, but either way it did nothing to calm down the two of us. This is way above my pay grade. And I'm not even getting paid. Wait, you don't get paid during residency? What the hell? This is stupid. Satria just smiled, that infuriatingly calm smile, and wordlessly reached to the counter and poured 2 cups of tea. He handed one to the nurse and one to me. Here, drink up. It'll calm your nerves. The nurse and I exchanged a glance, but still too rattled to do anything. Finally, I took a sip anyway, trying to shake off my doubts and fear. The nurse did the same. If Satria could be this relaxed, maybe we could survive the rest of the night, or maybe he was just as crazy as this place. The bells rang again. Oh god. 101. I pressed the intercom button for room 101 and Mrs. Liam again. I haven't checked on 103 at all, but was there even anyone in there? Was that the ladies' room? Can't remember, because some of these are just empty. I pressed the intercom button on room 101 and it was Mrs. Liam again. Her voice sounded even more urgent. Dr. Leah, there's knocking again. It's fast, like someone's trying to get in. Please, can you come? Of course there is. When I entered, the room was dim, with just the faint glow of the monitoring equipment. Mrs. Veronica Liam was sitting beside Angela's bed, her face even paler than the last I saw her. Doctor, I'm sorry for bothering you, but it's been happening more frequently. It's knocking. It's almost like it's demanding to be let in. As if on cue, the sound started again. Sharp, rapid knocks that seemed to rattle the window. I took a deep breath and went to the window. Here we go again. Okay. I pulled it open, half expecting to see something or someone on the other side. Once again, there was nothing. The knocking had stopped immediately as well. It's fine, ma'am. There's nothing out there. Mrs. Liam shook her head, her eyes welling up with tears. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm losing it. I've been so stressed out. My baby. I wasn't there for her. My job, with all the pressures on social media, kept me too busy. I abandoned her when she needed me the most. Maybe this is my guilt haunting me. For a moment, I wasn't sure what to say. An ICU, where people died and went into critical conditions, seemed to feed on fear and guilt, twisting it into something that could reach out and touch you in the dark. What's important is that you're here right by her side during this critical time, ma'am. She nodded, but her expression didn't change. The knocks had stopped, but the unease lingered. After excusing myself from room 101, I walked back to the nurse's station. The nurse was sitting there alone, tapping her pen on the desk, looking more bored than anything else. When she saw me approach, her eyes lit up. I wondered if she wanted to ask something about Mrs. Liam. You know Mrs. Liam? Who doesn't? She leaned in closer, about to spill some tea. Word is that Veronica Liam was having an affair with some famous actor, big name in the industry. Her husband found out, and that's why he's nowhere to be seen. Left her to deal with everything on her own, even his own kid. Can you believe that? Oh, so that's why he's not here? Yep, rumor has it the whole thing was a huge scandal, but they kept it hush-hush because, you know, reputation and all that. But everyone in the know, well, they know. And how do you know? Oh, did I just get slapped? What was that noise? I felt a sudden playful smack on the back of my head and turned around to see Satria grinning like a mischievous kid. What the hell, man? This is abuse. No more gossiping on the job, Dr. Leah. You're supposed to be a professional here, or I'll tell on you. I rolled my eyes, rubbing the spot where he bonked me. Yes, sir. I was just, you know, gathering intel. Sure, let's call it that. He chuckled as he strolled down the hallway, disappearing into the shadows. Are we sure he's normal? I feel like he could possibly be a weirdo, like a ghost or something. I don't know. Try to keep it classy, okay? Bells ring again. 110. I pressed the intercom button on room 110. I remember it was Mr. Joko Moliono's room, the elderly man who'd recently had his leg amputated. Satria said it was one of the more stable patients, or at least he had been. Hello? His wife's voice crackled through the speaker, soft but urgent. Excuse me, nurse. My husband has a fever. He's not resting well. I'll be right there. I made my way to room 110. As I entered, the first thing I noticed was how warm the room felt. Stuffy, almost. Mr. Moliona was in bed, his face flushed and profusely sweating. He was asleep, but his body was restless, twitching as if something was bothering him even in his dreams. Good evening, ma'am. Oh, no, that's me. Good evening, ma'am. I'm Dr. Leah. May I check Mr. Moliona's temperature? Please go ahead, doctor. I checked his temperature. Definitely a fever. Nothing too alarming, but enough to need attention. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a vial of paracetamol, preparing to administer it. This will get the fever under control. As I injected the medicine into his IV, I felt the presence of his wife hovering next to me. Mrs. Moliona seemed like a sweet elderly woman, the kind who reminded you of homemade cookies and knitting by the fireplace. But tonight, something felt off. Maybe it was just my imagination, though. No, something's definitely off. Look at her. She's so freaking pale, it's like she's dead. I don't know. I don't trust it. Thank you, doctor. I glanced up, meeting her eyes. She was smiling, a kind, grandmotherly smile, but there was something strange behind it that I couldn't quite put my finger on. Well, maybe she's just worried about her husband. Oh, of course. You should get better soon. You are very kind, doctor. We're so grateful for everything you're doing. Just doing my job, ma'am. Is there anything else you need? No. He's tired, dear. So very tired. Pardon? She didn't respond immediately. Instead, she just kept that unnerving smile fixed on me, her eyes boring into mine. I checked Mr. Moliona's vitals one last time, my hands shaking slightly. His fever was starting to come down, and he seemed to be slipping into a more peaceful state, but the room still felt too suffocating. And Mrs. Moliona kept smiling, never once moving. You should be fine for now, just let me know if anything changes. Mrs. Moliona said nothing, just nodding silently as I turned to leave. That's suspicious. That's suspicious! I could feel her gaze burning into my back, that eerie smile still hanging in the air. The door clicked shut behind me, and I exhaled a breath I didn't even realize I'd been holding. What is wrong with my first shift? I rushed back into the nurse station, trying to shake off whatever just happened. The bells ring again. Ah, great. 104. I pressed the intercom button for room 104 and was greeted by a loud crash, the unmistakable sound of something shattering on the floor. Hello, Mrs. Selvina? No answer. I quickly rushed to room 104. Uh-oh. I pushed the door open and the room was dark. Did I let her go for too long? Huh? Oh. What happened to the room? It was just so bloody. As I turned on the lights, I saw a cup of tea lying in pieces. There was no one else in the room but Mrs. Selvina, who was unconscious in her bed, oblivious to the mess. Jesus Christ, seriously? I crouched down to inspect the shards of glass, looking for any sign of how the cup ended up on the floor. There's no obvious cause, no one to knock it over, no sudden movement that could have sent it crashing. It's as if it just decided to jump off the table out of sheer spite. Ah! Okay, focus. It's just a cup, just a cup. Of course there's no cleaning service in sight, which meant I was the one in charge of cleaning it. As I moved to clean up the mess, I felt a shiver run down my spine. Couldn't help but glance at the window, half expecting to see something or someone watching me from the outside, and to Mrs. Selvina, thinking she could just jolt awake at any moment. Hold together, Leah. I quickly gathered the pieces of cup and turned to leave. But before I could reach for the door, I thought I heard a faint whisper, just a breath of sound like a warning. That's not good. I froze, my heart racing as I glanced back to Mrs. Selvey, but she remained still, her breathing steady but shallow. As if the night couldn't get any weirder. That wasn't so bad. I quickly left the room, huffing to myself. Bells ring again. Great. Ooh, God. We'll do 104 again. I pressed the intercom button to hear a low scratching sound echoing through the speaker like nails raking against wood. Hello, are you there? No answer, just more scratching. I hurried to room 104, bringing a broom with me for no apparent reason. Now it's dirty. I pushed the door open and there she was, Mrs. Selby, still unconscious in her bed. But then I saw the walls. Scratch marks crisscrossed the surface, as if someone or something had been trying to claw their way out. I moved closer, the sound of scratching growing louder in my ears. What the hell? I reached out to touch the wall, feeling the rough texture of the scratches beneath my fingertips. Then I blinked. Huh? In an instant, the marks and everything else vanished. As if it was just a dream. Leah? Holy crap! I swung the broom at him, almost hitting his face. Whoa, easy there. Satria, what are you doing here? The nurse station monitor was beeping. Her vitals are dropping. I glanced at the monitors and he was right. When she crashes, get ready. The scratching. Did you hear it too when you entered? Huh? Oh yeah. Souls that are about to die often start wandering, you know, searching for something or someone. But hey, we're all just passing through, right? And at those words I felt a shiver run through me. It was like his face darkened, as if he wasn't really there. Satria? It's nothing. Just keep an eye on Mrs. Selby. So he is probably dead. I stepped back and left the room with Satria. His words kept ringing in my head, as if an omen. The bells ring again. What do we got? Oh god, 110. Oh wait, that was the old man. I wanted to check 108. Oh well, what's done is done. I pressed the intercom button on room 110. Room 110, what's going on? My husband is in pain, doctor. Please come immediately. I hurried to room 110. Mr. Moliono lay in bed. His face contorted in agony, beads of sweat glistening on his forehead. He's not fully conscious yet. I rushed to his side and quickly checked his vitals. Hang in there, sir. I'm going to give you something for the pain. Oh, thank goodness you arrived quickly. Yes, ma'am. As I administered the medication, I noticed something. Mr. Moliono stood at the foot of the bed, serene smile on her face. But her feet weren't touching the ground. Huh? I wanted to scream, but my body froze and my hand was still administering the meds. I quickly finished my job and god damned it, the syringe fell to the floor. As I bent down to retrieve it, I was face to face with her feet. I wasn't just dreaming. She wasn't staying there. She was floating. Don't kill me. Awkward. The meds are in the system now. He should be alright. I'm just gonna go now. Her smile widened. Ugh. Did you leave because you're done or because you've noticed me? The room felt a lot colder. The shadows deepened in the corners as if they're trying to as if they're reaching out to grasp me. Somehow there were cracks in the wall. I couldn't move a muscle. Mrs. Moliono, I think you should... Do you see me? Panic surged through me. I turned to the door, desperate to escape. I have to go. Well, we're never coming back here again. Not that room. You can go help yourself. Alright. With one last frantic glance at Mr. Moliono, whose pained expression mirrored my own horror, I bolted from the room and slammed the door shut behind me. As I stumbled back into the oddly darkened hallway, I suddenly heard it. A soft whispering voice that sent chills running down my spine. Mrs. Moliono. Ugh. She's gonna kill us. Oh, she's getting closer. You should know. One of you is just like me. I'm guessing it's gotta be, Satria. Because he's got the darkened eyes. Ah! I didn't get to read it. The darkness hides my secrets, my dear. Or the darkness hides secrets, my dear. Oh, one of you is pretending to be alive, just like I once was. Great. I slowly shuffled back towards the nurse's station, trembling. Who could it be? The nurse? Satria? I'm alive, aren't I? Or maybe Mrs. Moliano was just trying to scare me. No. Oh, it's finally 6 a.m. Ta-da! We made it! We get to get paid for Freddy's Pizza or whatever. I don't know. It was finally 6 a.m., the end of my first grueling night shift. I was ready to head home, barely able to keep my eyes open, when I noticed Satria standing by the exit. Stay away, you're dead. His silhouette framed by the morning sun, almost. Different, somehow. He waved me over with a faint smile. Yo, kid, thanks for everything. Sure? I didn't do much. Yeah, but still, thanks. Okay, you sound like you're saying goodbye, but there are still a lot more shifts in the future. Nah, you won't see me again after today. Take care of yourself, alright? You quittin'? You quittin'? Before I could ask what he meant, he gave me a final wave, stepping into the sunlight. And then, just like that, he was gone. No footsteps fading, no doors closing, just gone. I stood there, my mind spinning. Had I imagined it? Night had been long, sure, but this felt strange. Everything can wait later. For now, bed. As I collapsed onto my couch, still thinking about Satria's strange words, I mindlessly scrolled through my phone. That's when I saw it. Satria Dominic, medical resident, dies in single motorcycle accident at 7 p.m. last night? When did I start work? Maybe I started at 8? Wait a minute. But we were working together at 9 p.m., weren't we? He was still alive then, right? I scrolled through the comments, heart pounding. People were mourning him, talking about how kind he was, etc. But if he died last night, then who was with me on my shift? A chill crept up my spine as I replayed our final conversation in my mind. His calm words, the way he disappeared into the sunlight. Was it real? Had I just worked an entire shift with Satria's ghost? I leaned back and closed my eyes, whispering a solemn prayer for Satria. For his peace in his journey, wherever it's now taking him. Satria had worked so hard only to focus on the very grind he had struggled against. I sighed, staring out into the early morning light, unsure of what the future would bring. I wondered if I would end up like him. One thing was certain though, I would never forget him. And I would never forget that odd night shift at the ICU. Normal ending. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, we didn't really run into very many troubles, right? Can I load? No. I mean, it didn't even let us save. I want to see what happens if we just do all the rooms with, like, nothing in them. Skip. How do I skip? I don't know. Oh, is this the save button? Oh, these are automatic saves. So how do I load? Oh god, what the hell is that little cretin? That's gross. There's my saves. Maybe this one? Okay. How do I skip? Oh, I hit a button. Oh god. Oh man, shouldn't have hit buttons. Hold on. I broke the game. 1 second, please. Okay. Six. As I was about to press the intercom button, I stopped in my tracks, a chill creeping up my spine. The room was empty. No patient, no reason for that bell to be ringing. I turned to look at Satria, expecting him to react, but he just frowned and shook his head. Room is empty, right? Yeah, it is. Could be a glitch in the system. Happens sometimes. His casual tone didn't convince me, or him, judging by the way he glanced down the hallway. My heart started to race as I stared into the darkness. You want me to check it out? Knock yourself out. If you see anything spooky, remember to scream so we can all run away. Great, just what I needed. Sarcastic senior in a haunted hospital. I approached room 112 like I was wading through thick fog. When I finally reach the door, I open it as loudly as possible, almost shouting. Excuse me! The room was pitch black. Just an empty room. No big deal, just an empty, possibly haunted room. My hand fumbled for the light switch, and when I flicked it on, the lights turned on, revealing... Absolutely nothing. The room was exactly as it should be, empty, sterile, and completely devoid of life. And yet, the call bell was still ringing, even though there was no one there to press it. Holy shit. I quickly stepped back, slamming the door shut behind me. Why? What happened? I hurried back to Satria, and he looked as unimpressed as ever, that bastard. Well? He didn't even bother looking up from his coffee. There's nothing there. But the bell. The bell's still... Satria finally looked at me, his expression darkening just a bit. Just keep an eye on it. Sometimes these things happen. Or, you know, we could just pretend it didn't. Up to you. Huh? He didn't elaborate and I didn't ask. The shift's still a long way to go. Oh. Well, that's weird. Well, that's not what I wanted. We have to pick an earlier point in time. Oh, wait. Oh, no. That's that problem I had with it going too fast. That's not what I want. I don't like that thing. We have to find a better spot, I guess. I don't like the way this thing saves. These are all, like, too close, aren't they? What's this one? No, we just experienced this. I don't want this. And we're at 6 AM already. I don't know. I guess we're just screwed. Huh? You had one job. Standing directly in front of me was Satria. His face was twisted in rage, his eyes darkened and hollow, his clothes drenched in blood dripping onto the floor. I'm sorry! Satria snarled, stepping closer, his bruised face distorting as if it was melting, blood dripping from his broken ribs and gashes on his head. I stumbled back, tripping over my chair. I scrambled to get up, but Satria lunged at me, his hands outstretched, ready to grab me, his bloodshot eyes locked onto mine with fury. Wake up! Wake up! Ugh! Suddenly I gasped, my eyes flying open. I was in my bed, my heart racing so fast it felt like it would explode out of my chest. My room was dark, silent except for the sound of my own panicked breathing. What just happened? Was I at work, or was it some twisted nightmare? I looked at the clock, it was morning. The shift was over. Or had I gone to work at all? Nothing ending. I guess that's what happens if you don't hit any buttons. I need something that's like early. I don't think we have that anymore though. Maybe we just have to start over? What's extras? Extra stuff that I got nothing of. Well, I don't know. I still want to see more stuff because I feel like we didn't get enough stuff yet. So, what do we press? I mean, I think we tried playing normally, so maybe we just go for all the weird rooms, because I don't think we pushed it hard enough with just doing one. I think we gotta do them all. So I think the first one is room 112. Right? He looks a little more alive right now. He's not quite as pale as that other lady. Ba 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 ba. Everything's fine. Don't even worry about it. I would never want to work a night shift in a hospital. That just sounds awful. I don't know. I don't like night shifts very much. This feels creepy. She's got the jitters. Don't worry. It's fine. Lights flickering. Alright. Can I save? No, this is load. Don't want to do that. Room 110, blah blah blah. 112. Okay, we'll go for that one. 112. As I was about to press the intercom button, I stopped in my tracks, a chill creeping up my spine. That room was empty. No patient, no reason for that bell to be ringing. We already did this conversation. And we already had this conversation. Okay. Do we get a different one, or was that just the end of that? 103 is empty, right? Not this again. 103, okay, we'll try that. Okay. 103. I pressed the intercom button for room 103, not knowing what response I should have expected. Oddly enough, I was met with a soft, heart-wrenching cry of a young woman. Satria! Can you come over here? I think we need to check this out. Satria shuffles over, a lazy smirk on his face that dropped the moment he heard the sobs echoing through the intercom. Oh, creepy. Can we check the room together? Or maybe we don't have to? But what if someone really needs our help? Fine. Satria shot back, rolling his eyes, and followed me regardless. As we approached the door, the crying intensified. I felt a tightening in my chest, but curiosity pulled me forward. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the doorknob, as the crying suddenly stopped. Did you hear that? Yeah, but whatever it is, it's gone now. Are you sure? Yeah. Anyway, on 3. With a deep breath, we pushed the door open. I swore the room looked different just now. I scanned the room, half expecting to find someone curled up in the corner, but instead it was eerily empty. There was no crying, no sign of distress, just a sterile smell of antiseptic and the dim glow of the overhead lights. I glanced at Satria, who looked like a deer in headlights. Where's the crying coming from? Like I said, it's gone. Come on, let's head back. Maybe you need a rest. As we stood there, I couldn't help but feel that something was very, very wrong. Crying had stopped, but I didn't think it was over. It was just the beginning of her shift. Feeling thirsty, I wandered into the doctor's lounge. Satria was already there. Okay, we already had this conversation. About our hopes and dreams and aspirations and how crappy life is. Maybe you should both just quit being doctors if you don't like it. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird that, like, his one creepy, like, image thing was him with his head split in half. I thought he died in a motorcycle accident. I mean, maybe you can get your head split in half in a motorcycle accident, but it seems weird. Oh, my phone might die soon. Could be a problem. Okay. Where do we go? Oh, that's the whole thing. So maybe we try room 112. Roger that. 112. Great, another empty room. Just let it be, it's not worth it. My heart raced as I pressed the intercom, hoping to hear something, but only silence answered me. Hello? No response, just an eerie silence again. I finally go to the empty room, searching for the doorknob. An icy breeze brushed past me. I pushed the door! Why? Curiouser. Do you want to play? Okay, nope, not doing this. I bolted down the hallway as fast as my legs could go, and the sound of her laughter hot in my pursuit. Whatever was haunting this place felt hungry, searching for something or someone. Oh gosh. She's not after me, isn't she? Oh god. I rounded the corner in full sprint, heart pounding when I slammed straight into Satria and nearly knocking both of us over. Whoa, hey, no running in the hallways unless it's an emergency. This is an emergency. There's a crazy lady. Satria, there was something in the empty room. A woman? Or I don't even know. But she was there, I swear. No, really? There was something off about him. He's creepy. Satria? His smile was too stiff. His eyes were darker than usual, in a way that didn't belong in the light. His smile didn't reach his eyes, and for a moment I could swear the hallway lights dimmed around him. You saw her too, didn't you? Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. What does it matter? I didn't know what terrified me more, what I saw in the empty room or the strange way Satria was acting. Something wasn't right. Maybe you should get back to work, Leah. Things get strange around here after midnight. Yeah, you're right. Ugh. Oh, this isn't good. I walked towards the nurse station again, not sure if I was more afraid of the ghost or Satria at the moment. Why is the nurse station so dark? I was relieved to see the nurse standing there, eyes glued on the monitor. Hey, you won't believe what I just saw. The empty rooms? Best you ignore it. So you knew? I know that the hospital's been here since the Dutch colonial times. Back then it was a military infirmary. There was a widow who had lost her husband during the war. People say she never left, still wandering the halls looking for him. Oh. Yeah, if you keep entertaining her, she'll take a liking to you, you know. And not that— wait, why do you know all this? Isn't this supposed to be her first time too? And not the let's grab coffee kind of like, more like the haunt you forever like. Great, just what I needed. Suddenly every shadow in the corner felt like it was watching me. I might have made a very big mistake. The bells rang out at once, 108, 101, and 105. I groaned. 108 was Mr. X, who was convinced someone was crawling under his skin. 101, Angela and her Tic Tac famous mom with the mysterious knocking. How do I know this? And 105, empty, perfect. 105. Intercom buzzed again, with no one answering again. My heart was raced as I reluctantly made my way towards the empty room. I remembered what the nurse said, but curiosity got the best of me. When I pushed the door open, I was taken aback. Oh! That's weird hair you got there. The ghost woman stood there, looking strangely serene, dressed in a beautiful kabaya that flowed like smoke around her. Gendis? Gendis? Ah, so you've come. My name is Gendis. You're quite the odd one, aren't you? I'm Leah. Are you a ghost? She laughed, a sound that sent chills down my spine. Obviously. Most people would run away from what they see, but you linger. You're curious, perhaps a bit too curious for your own good. Why do you keep ringing the bell? What do you want from me? I want nothing from you, dear. Before I could respond, the air grew heavy and the lights flickered ominously. My instinct screamed at me to run, but my legs were glued to the floor. You're not supposed to be here during this night shift. Neither is your friend. This place is a threshold. It's an in-between. The ICU holds souls teetering between life and death, and sometimes they choose to stay. Stay? Do you mean I am dead? No, which is why you're not supposed to be here. Your shift is tomorrow. What? I came to work and I didn't have to? The souls linger here, caught in their regrets and sorrows. They become restless, searching for closure. And I am here, watching over them, watching over you. Satria is your friend, but he too is drawn to this darkness. Girl, you feel deeply more than others. Maybe that is why you're here now. The weight of your sorrow sings to you. The weight of sorrow clings to you. I've seen it. I've seen how it affects those who wander here. You must remember that not all souls are benevolent. Some may wish to pull you down with them. With that, she turned away, her figure slowly dissipating into the shadows, leaving me alone. Leah? Oh, that was him. Oh boy. Oh, it's just you, Satria. I turned around, starting to find Satria, startled to find Satria standing behind me. I just talked to a ghost named Gendis, and she told me I'm not supposed to be on this shift. I mixed up somehow. Crazy, right? Yes, your shift is supposed to be tomorrow. Then... Oh. Satria's expression darkened as his head began to twitch erratically. Tonight we're walking a line between reality and something far more dangerous. I think she's just trying to warn you. Warn me from what? Satria smiled at me, a sad, warm smile that ironically sent a chill down my spine. But as I stepped back, the warmth faded. Oh. His figure began to shift and distort, revealing bloodied skin, battered limbs, and bruises that painted a horrific picture. I could see ribs poking out from his emaciated frame, the once comforting presence now grotesque vision. Satria, what's happening to you? Go home. This is not your place. You belong with the living. As the reality of his words sank in, the world around me began to spin. My vision blurred and the room darkened. The last thing I saw was the haunting look on his face before everything faded to black. I passed out. Next day I found myself in the familiar chaos of the hospital, the bright lights flickering above me as I made my way to my actual shift. You continue to work here? That's incredible. My mind was still reeling from the events of the night before, questioning whether it had all been a nightmare or something much darker. As I walked past the nurse's station, I spotted the nurse from yesterday. She looked up and offered a sympathetic smile. Oh, hey, sorry for your loss. Excuse me? Haven't you heard? One of the senior residents passed away. We're running a skeleton crew today because there's a funeral happening. Funeral? Oh wait, was that a pun earlier? That it was a skeleton crew? Because there's a little literal dead guy on it? Funeral. What was his name? Satria? My heart raced as I processed the nurse's words. Satria's funeral? No, that couldn't be right. I was sure I'd just seen him last night. We were working on the shift together. Huh? But he never made it here. He was in a bad accident before going to his shift. No, I spoke to him. He was... But the words caught in my throat and the room around me began to spin. My mind raced back to the night before. The vision of Satria bloodied and bruised, warning me to leave while I still could. Had I truly been awake? Oh dear. For a brief moment I thought I saw Gendis standing in the doorway. I blinked hard and she was gone. Hey, what's wrong? Nothing. Hey. Take a deep breath. New resident. It looks like you need to take a deep breath, lady. It's your first shift. You're under a lot of stress. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Stress. As the weeks passed, I struggled with the news of Satria's death. It felt surreal, like a bad dream I couldn't wake up from. I wished I could have asked him what happened during the last shift. I focused on my work as a doctor, and each day I remind myself of Gendis' words, to care and feel deeply. Even though I never saw Gendis or Satria again, I felt their spirit in small moments, when a patient smiled or a family member said thank you. It reminded me of why I chose this path in the first place. I often looked out the window, hoping to understand what happened that night, but I realized I'd needed to let it go. Maybe he just needed to finish his shift, one last time. Special ending for Gendis. Interesting. But I think I will have to end this here. I don't think we got all the endings. So thank you all for watching. That was interesting. I'm wondering what, like, more endings there are. Like, because the normal ending kind of feels like the good ending, since it seems like that's the easiest way to get Satria to pass on peacefully. But this weird Gendis ending kind of feels like kind of a good one for us, because it seems like we become more like of a caring doctor. So I don't know. I wonder what other endings there are. But that's all for this time, so let me know what you think of the game down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. This is Casper Kuma. Over and out.